The fly we're going to tie today is called a two-tone curly worm. And to start, what you do is prepare your chenille. So if you take your ultra chenille, and we're using medium-sized ultra chenille, the color of your choice. This is a fluorescent orange that is a light orange that I'm going to stick in our vise, and you want to adjust your vise so that it will hold the chenille in place. Then you cut it. You start out with a strip that's about 6 to 8 inches long, and what you want to do is just kind of melt down it on all sides to get all the fibers standing out so that it'll absorb some color. Because what we're going to do next is we're going to take either a Sharpie or another color type of magic marker that is a permanent marker. This one's a Bic Market. And I'm using red so that it'll show up nice. So what we do is we take our marker, put your thumb right above where the tip of the marker felt starts. You hold your chenille on your index finger and hold your thumb about a half an inch below that and gently pinch the chenille, not tightly, just enough to control it. You take the tip of your marker and lay it directly on the chenille and move everything down in one continuous motion, and that puts a nice straight even strip right down the side of your chenille. If you move too slowly, the ink will bleed all the way around your chenille and make it look really ugly, and what we want is a two-tone chenille so that there's a nice stripe right down one side of the chenille. So you need to set that aside. Now I'll put it right here so you can just see how distinct that stripe is. Set that aside and let it dry. Now the hook I'm going to use for this is a very small gap hook because all the material is going to extend a little below this, but not enough to occlude the hook. But it's a very long shank because this is going to be a 3-coiled curly worm. So this is a number 12, a size 12, and it's a Mustad Carlisle hook, and it's number 3191. Now, if you are uncomfortable with an offset of your barb, what you can do is lock it in your vise and then just bend it forward slightly. I like to work parallel with my hook, so I just turn my vise slightly so that the hook shaft is parallel with me. Again, you just start your thread in the usual way, one eye length behind the eye, and wrap forward to above the barb. Now, this hook shaft is very flimsy, so you may want to support it to begin with as you work your way back. It is important that you put one wrap right next to the other as you wrap back, so we have a nice solid thread base. You cut off your tag end. Now you take your chenille and you want to measure your chenille, and you want it about half the length of the hook shank. You certainly don't want it the whole length of the hook shank because that would be extending out too far. You want to tie it right above the barb, and you want to tie it with a colored strip straight up. So you line it up. Again, I do the clamp and loop, pick up your thread, punch it through the hole, pinch it, pull it around, pull it down. We call this the 5 P's. You take your thread, you pick it up, you punch it through the hole, you pinch your thread, you pull it around, you pull it down. You get your 3 wraps all in the same place. You make one securing wrap. You want to be sure that your stripe is directly on top. One more tight wrap. Then you lift the front of it back. You want to be sure it's straight. And you take 2 wraps going back against it, and be careful going around your hook point. And then you wrap forward 5 wraps. Okay, and they don't have to be real tight together. Now, every time you wrap your material around the hook, you want to be sure that the colored stripe stays on the outside as you wrap it. So we're going to wrap this forward, wrap it under, bring it between the thread and the hook gap, Now, when you bring it over the top of the hook, what you want to do is twist it so that that stripe, again, is right on top. You want the stripe to be right on top. So you pinch it back, and what you want to do is put your finger right on top of the material and push it down, and be sure that when you push it down, it doesn't extend below the hook gap, so that you aren't occluding the hook gap when this gets wet and may sag a little. Okay? So again, we're going to do our clamp and loop and tie this right on top of the hook shaft, right at this spot. Okay, 3 tight wraps. Again, be sure that your stripe's right on top. Pull it back, make 2 wraps back against it. That helps it stand up, and it'll help you with wrapping it. Then again, 8 wraps. Okay, 5 wraps, 8 wraps. Again, we wrap, we bring it up on top. Again, we push it back. We want this to be a little bit deeper than the one before, but not enough to be occluding the hook point. So we just make it a little bit deeper than the one before. We pinch it so that it's right on top. Again, we clamp and loop the first one, then do a couple of tight turns. Be sure it's right on top, even it out. Again, we pull it back, wrap 2 turns directly against it. This time we wrap forward 8, 9, 10 times. Okay, we wrap around, bring it up. Again, we pinch it back, and we want this to be a little bit deeper than the time before. So each time we're adding more gap between our wraps, and we're making the wraps a little bit deeper each time. Okay? So, clamp and loop. Couple of tight wraps.
No, you really don't need, well, I trimmed the bottom.
Now, what I like to do is just wrap forward here, wrap a little tag end down, just right here, turn it right to you. This way we ensure that the stripe stays right on top as you fish it. Pull it back, do some wraps right in front of it. Then we whip finish. Be sure to work your thread around just to be sure it's not caught behind the eye. If you want a double whip finish instead of head cement, you can do that. If you want a double whip finish and head cement, you can do that. Flip your thread. You want this end to be just about as long as the tail end, not quite, just a little shorter. Just want to singe our end here. Now if you look at this fly on all sides, you just see it's a nice even stripe all the way around. Makes a real pretty two-tone curly worm. And as I say, if you start out with your 2 favorite colors of San Juan worms used on the particular stream, fish this, I guarantee you it'll be very effective in areas where fish have seen too many San Juan worms and shy away from the regular deal. This will catch them. Hope you're having a great day, and God bless you.